magic. That's the Cars for you. It's Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a fantastic day. Everything is happening perfectly. What? Right. This is kind of a big deal, and this is really a key ingredient that I have used, and this has actually started, this goes way back before Law of Attraction, before Neville Goddard, before any of that stuff. It was realizing that life, when you start living consciously, which most of us are doing, we're consciously thinking of what we're trying to get our outcomes to be, right? We're intentionally trying to manifest circumstances in our lives by using practices that have been demonstrated, and many of us have demonstrated to ourselves that they work, right? So we're taking ownership of what we're experiencing. So when you're coming at it from that level, it's really helpful to understand that the things that are happening to us are happening for a reason. I know that gets debated sometimes, this whole things are happening for a reason. I guess to me, it's more of a things are playing out in our lives, assuming we're doing everything okay, we're not pushing ourselves out. But even still, even when we're pushing ourselves, out, when we're pushing ourselves out onto other people and things along those lines, in my mind, that's still happening perfectly because it's illustrating to ourselves what we need to work on. So again, everything is happening perfectly. Is it the exact outcome that you want for your manifestation? Maybe that's a little bit of a thing that you need to kind of get a little of that in front of your face so you can go, oh, yeah, you're right. I need to work on X or Y or Z, right? I need to be nicer to people. I need to maybe stop getting grumpy every time my specific somebody doesn't text me back, or maybe she doesn't look at me when she walks by, whatever. That is still a part of this. But what I'm really talking about, I guess, with the deeper parts of this, and this is kind of where this is more of the soul journey aspect rather than just so much manifestation, but I think it's always a very good thing to remember and a good thing to kind of keep in the back of your mind, especially when things are happening that seem questionable to you, that maybe seem contrary to what you're trying to manifest, right? When you start to realize that a lot of times things might seem to break down, and that's how they appear to us. It seems like things are falling apart, and that's all we can see is the falling apart. But I kind of want to get you to understand, one, go back that step of everything's happening perfectly, right? So if everything's happening perfectly, and if things seem to be falling apart, it's because they're breaking down so they can build back up. Think about the way your body deals with food, right? Food starts as a solid, chicken breast, about yay big, right? A solid piece of food. And you've got to somehow get that to break down into teeny tiny little elements, little atoms, so your body can process it, so your body can use it, so your body can do stuff with it. So it starts, right? You get the chicken, you cook it up, sure. You stick it on your plate. Now you got to cut it. Now you're breaking it down, right? You're breaking it down from its original chicken breast form. Now you're breaking it into little slices, little pieces, right? And you stick those pieces in your mouth, and you start to masticate or chew, right? Masticate's just a fancy word for chewing. For those of you that don't know that crazy word, right? Who cares, right? You should masticate your food. It sounds like a dirty word, really, frankly, but anyway. So you chew up your food, and you're supposed to chew it 20, 30 times, whatever the heck the rule is. Most of us don't do that. Are you kidding me? I'd be eating all day. No wonder people lose weight when they do that, because you never finish your meal. You end up falling asleep halfway through it because you've masticated for a day. So we start chewing on that food. We start chewing it up as good as we can. Then we swallow it. Then it ends up in our stomachs, and our digestive juices start to go to town on it. Start to try to break it apart, get it all weird, get it all bleh, right? Then it hits the intestines, right? And then it starts to make its way through our body, where it is slowly broken apart, and the nutrients are absorbed. And from that, we can build ourselves up. We can build ourselves back up. Relationships can oftentimes be very similar. Sometimes we might have that breakdown. We might have a fight. We might not get along with each other. Sometimes things happen that needs to kind of be undone. We need a moment to step away from each other so we can kind of look at things internally and then come back together and try to kind of rebuild this relationship. Even just on a standard two friends that throw a little fight, two siblings that maybe aren't getting along. It's the same thing. Now a discussion needs to be had. Now we need to talk. Now we need to come to an agreement or an understanding or some sort of middle ground where we can then continue to build our relationship on top of. You've got situations with jobs. A lot of times you'll get into a situation where you'll be starting a new job and maybe you had a job previous and the way you used to do things at the other job isn't how you need to do things here. So a lot of times when you start a new job, you stop doing what you used to do and you kind of start from the ground up. What does this company need me to do? What do I need to be able to perform here? How is the political structure situated? How does information flow from maybe team to team or group to group? So you sort of break down your internal mechanisms. You've got all these little skill sets, right? I'm good at this, I'm good at that, I'm good at this. In my last job, I used to put these two skills together over here and these two skills over here, and then they'd wrap up over here, and people would run off with my solution, and life would be good. New business, new company, that's a little different now. So I've got to kind of step back a little, break down my process, and rebuild it back up for a way that works for this new particular job. Chemistry, another example of the way things tend to break down. You'll get certain atoms or certain things and you'll mix them up and they start to break apart, and then elements from this over here mix with elements from this over here, and then they come together and they make something totally different. That's how chemistry happens. That's how it works. That's how you get different elements. That's like the particle colliders, for example. A lot of you have probably heard of CERN and all these things. Well, they're spinning particles around at darn near light speed, and then they smash them into each other, and it forms something crazy for a splash of a second, not even that, like a fraction of thousandths of a second. But it's that conjoining. It's two small, teeny tiny particles that get rammed together to kind of rebuild. I just kind of want to remind, it's a bunch of stupid examples for the same concept, but ultimately, it's meant to remind us that a lot of times, many of us feel like we're taking steps backwards sometimes, even if things don't work out, even if you have to walk away from your special person and maybe open up your mind to something else. Maybe things are going a little funky with your special person. You get frustrated, throw up your hands and start to walk away, only to maybe turn back around at some point, which is totally fine. Or maybe you haven't met your specific person yet, and you're trying to build yourself from the ground up, and you're trying to imagine your perfect scenario or your perfect person or that ideal relationship. And you're building, almost like in a laboratory, you're building your perfect person, your perfect man, your perfect woman. What qualities are they going to have? How are they going to behave? Sense of humor, where's that at? Are they intelligent? Are they able to carry a conversation? Is it just more important that they have a job, man? Make sure they got the almighty J-O-B. It differs. A lot of us, certain things are more important than others. Certainly if you're a mother with 2 kids, maybe getting a guy with a job, right? A job and some good parenting skills, or maybe you're just someone that seems like he'd be a good father, maybe a kind heart, right? These are kinds of the qualities that you need in your life that kind of work with you. So just because everything's not necessarily working out at this very second doesn't mean it's never going to, doesn't mean it's heading in a bad direction, and it certainly doesn't mean that you're actually not making progress. And that's what so many of us forget to realize. You're doing the work. You're doing an amazing job. You're doing an amazing job. That's seriously. I can't overstate that. Even if we're not getting there yet, you're still doing an amazing job, because through this process, you're building your understanding of law of attraction, Neville Goddard, of how all this stuff works. And you're not going to learn something by not making some mistakes. You can't. You don't get good at anything without making mistakes while doing those things. That's how you improve. So while we're trying to manifest, maybe occasionally we take a stumble here and there. It's not really a stumble. It's fine-tuning. It's better understanding. It's learning what to do and what not to do. Again, what it comes down to is, how are we looking at it. Are you seeing the glass half full, or are you seeing it half empty? And even when things really get challenging, I even joke, I'm like, well, no, my glass is 1/5 full right now. Right? Like, it's pretty much empty, but it's, 1/8 full. It's getting there. How do you look at it? Because things are working out. You are doing the work. You've proven this to yourself in the small ways, right? You know in the little ways this works. So now we're attempting it on something a little larger. Well, okay, something a little larger is going to require a little bit stronger skill set. It's going to require you to take a step in the upward direction. And that's all we're learning, right? We've got all these tips and tricks, all these ideas, all these ways to do things, and then we beat ourselves up when it seems like we're taking a step backwards, instead of actually appreciating the steps we're taking on this journey. As we've talked before, it's not going to happen right this second. No matter where you are in your relationship, unless you're sitting with your specific someone, or unless in 5 minutes they're coming to your door, and cool, that's great that you're watching my video right beforehand. Thank you. But outside of that, it's not going to happen right this very second. So we've got some processes to work on right now. And it's part of the journey. The destination, once you're with your specific person, you're not done. That's not the destination. And in fact, when you finally meet up with your specific person, you may be madly in love with them, and maybe they're going to be working up to that level of emotion. And if you just come at them with, I love you, 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 and they're not ready for that, they're going to be like, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, or they're going to go, I'm running from you, I'm running from you, running from you. Because we've got to still, when we get together, we've still kind of got to get through those initial stages. We've got to build the relationship. It's always about building and moving up and on and out and expanding. And expansion, it's what the universe does. It's expanding. So these are kind of metaphors for what we're doing. We're expanding. We're expanding in our relationship abilities. We're expanding in our abilities to love. We're expanding in our abilities to appreciate. We just need to remind ourselves from time to time, I'm doing all right. You're doing a good job. You know what, Dan? Ow, 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 ow. It hurts. You're doing a good job. Don't forget to remind yourself of that. It's okay to not be there yet. It's okay to be working on this still. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay. You've always got a chance to redo, and you've always got a chance to learn and keep moving forward. And that makes you a better person, a better manifester, a better everything. I hope this makes a difference for you. I hope this comes out okay. I know it's kind of a slightly odd topic. The next show I'm going to do too, by the way, I'm hoping I can do it tomorrow. I happen to have a special event going on tomorrow, so we'll see. Worst case scenario, I might get it out a little late the following day. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But this one will definitely be going out. Everything should be groovy. So anyway, I hope this helps. Like I said, everything is happening perfectly. Add that to your affirmation set. It is truly something that I remind myself. That is part of my whole, you're okay, you're good where you're at. Everything's happening exactly as it should. My little affirmation spiel that I say to myself whenever I'm questioning. Add this to your affirmation spiel. Everything is happening perfectly. Going out with a song, oddly, Tom Petty doing Breakdown. Kind of like similar to what I'm talking about. Yes, it's Dan RadioStyle. Thanks everyone for joining me. Oh, and by the way, if you haven't done so, please click that little subscribe button down there. I dig that. Thank you so much.
To say